So far on this channel, I side hustled my way out of my manual labor neon job. Now I'm working on building the businesses and the life that I want, and I'm hoping to be able to give you the motivation and confidence to chase after your dreams as well. Thank you for joining and growing along with me. Welcome to Escaping the Neon. Good morning, everybody. I hope you all are having an absolutely wonderful day so far. Your day is probably about to get worse if you're going to crack into this project. So basically, this video is going to be for anybody who's thinking about getting into kettle corn, anybody who's already into kettle corn. And today we're going to be talking about how to clean these kettles. As you can see, I've already begun the project and it's starting to look way better. I'm actually seeing some clean, shiny metal. It's starting to look good. But I decided to go ahead and leave half of this. Now, of course, this is not what it normally looked like. There's like some dry powder that kind of gets kicked up as you're grinding. So I'm going to show you the tools that I'm using. If you're new to this, you definitely don't need to do this all the time. This is just kind of one of those like once a year type of deals. And as this, kind of layer builds up of oil and sugar and all of that, it kind of burns on there. And for the most part, you don't really have to worry too much. Of course, you want to wash it every time you use it. But it does get to a point where that just kind of builds up and you really want to take that layer off, once a year, twice a year, depending on how much you pop. And if you don't, you'll notice that that layer will eventually start smoking. You'll have a huge mess. So you want to just keep these things clean. And, the way I like to do it is I try and clean it, thorough clean at least once a year or once a season. So we are on that thorough clean once a season. I'll tell you where I started at. Last year, I used a product called Kettle Clean, which is sold by Gold Medal, and I think there's a couple other brands that sell that as well. And I used it this year as well. It just didn't work that well. I don't know if it's not meant for these huge kettles, but I think you'd have to use a ton of it. It works a little bit, and maybe if you don't have too big of an issue, then Kettle Clean to help you out. But I really don't like to deal with all the chemicals anyway. As much as I possibly can, I want to use soap, water, and a pressure washer. And maybe, like an organic degreaser type of deal, but I'm trying to stay away from all that. So basically, I'm going to show you what tools I have to start with and what I've been working with. First thing, I got a grinder. I got that last year at Tractor Supply. It was about 80 bucks. These are stripping discs. So I bought these things on Amazon. I think that was like 25 bucks or something like that. And I got a little worried because it definitely works, as you can see. But if you're not extremely careful, then you're going to get some pitting, and it's, basically you really have to ride the surface of the bowl or it digs in quickly. So I wanted to kind of back off the stripping discs if possible and try a new way. So of course, this is only the third time I've done this. First two times I did it, I used the Kettle Clean and basically just scraping the hell out of it, and then a little bit of a wire wheel type of deal. This year I wanted to try another option, so I started with these stripping discs, and then what I've got now, went to Tractor Supply this morning and I got this thing. So this is just like a wire wheel cup that I hope is going to attach to my grinder. I'm actually not 100% sure about that. And then I got one of these, which is really good for just like the kind of tight spots and stuff you can't hit. So really the stripping disc has been great to because that's a pretty thick layer. When you're trying to sand that stuff down, it is really thick and it takes a really, really long time. So at the very least, the stripping disc could be good if you've got this like thick buildup and you want to at least take a good bit of the layers off. But you really, really want to be careful with that, at least from what I've found. You really, really want to be careful because you can definitely dig into the bowl a little bit and you don't want to do that. So basically, you'll see, obviously, this is kind of the powder that it kicks up. Of course, I'm going to dump this out, rinse it out, and you'll get a better idea of what I'm actually working with here once this is clean. The other things you are definitely going to want. This is a respirator. I got this thing on Amazon. You can see this is just from last night doing like a quarter of the bowl. So all of that is going to be in your lungs if you don't wear something like this. I definitely recommend it. Also, these goggles, I would wear that as well. Little shards kick up at you. I started without glasses or goggles yesterday, and almost immediately a little shard came up, busted me right in the eye. And I figured it's not worth losing my vision over this thing. So definitely go ahead, and if you have some, get some goggles, wear some sunglasses, wear something. But fair warning, if you do have a setup like that, you are going to look like a total tool. So make sure any friends, any hot neighbors do not see you. So I'm going to go ahead and set the camera up and just kind of get a time lapse of me cleaning this thing, and then I'll rinse it out and we'll kind of go through the finite details. But I just want to tell you guys what I'm working with basically, and how I'm doing this. And you know, again, you're probably going to need to do this maybe once, you know, once a year-ish as this layer of oil builds up, and you can do really well with washing the thing off as soon as you use it, and you know, really battling that grease. But really, no matter what you do, it's going to build up over time. And so I'll rinse this thing out, I'll come back, I'll show you guys what it looks like after what I did last night. And I think once that kind of layer of powder is washed off of there, it'll look a little different, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I've got this thing rinsed off just a little bit, and you can get a better idea for what it normally looks like. Of course, I've done a little work up here clearly, but basically, you know, you got this thick layer of black stuff, and then, you know, a relatively decent layer of oil around. And you can see I've already gone through with like a paint scraper or a putty knife, kind of scraped around this top rim. Definitely not the best way to go. So take a little video of how this works, if this works, and everybody wish me luck. Well, as you can see, we're definitely making some progress. So I'm going to keep at it. I may hit the wire wheel for a little while with the drill, but essentially that's what you're going to need to do. A lot of elbow grease and a couple of tools, but you can definitely do it. It's not a complicated process, it's just a bitch. So okay, so here's our finished product, at least as finished as it's gonna get for me today. So I did end up going back to that stripping disc, and I did kind of the bottom of the kettle where it's a little bit pitted here, and I really grinded that down for a good while, and then I switched back to the wire wheel. Really, if I spent a little more time, it could get even better, but I got a big order that I got to pop, and this thing is 1,000 times better than it was, and it's definitely sparkling. The light's a little weird, but it looks really good. So real nice and smooth, and turned out well. So I hope this has kind of shown you that if you see an older kettle that's for sale and you're a little bit worried about what the bowl looks like or something like that, pretty easy to bring these things back to life. I'd say all in, if you already have the grinder, you know, you're only in for like 40 bucks or something like that. Really not too bad. Again, it just takes a lot of time and a good bit of effort. All right, real quick, there's actually a couple things I forgot. Number one, that grinder is crazy loud. The sound reverberates like ridiculously off of the bowl, and it just absolutely deafens you. So I did like the first probably hour with no earplugs in or anything like that, and my head is still ringing like crazy from that. So 100% definitely get some earplugs. That's like mandatory if you're going to use that grinder. It's ridiculously loud. And then once you do rinse the bowl out, I rinsed this thing like 6 times and I was still getting some of that black stuff. So I just really had to scrub and scrub and scrub to finally get this thing where the water was coming out clear. So just keep that in mind as well. And I also want to add that it took me, I'd say, about 3.5 hours to get where we're at right now. So anyway, I'm going to get to it, and thank you guys.